Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
So Trump is kind of like a cartoon character because he's somehow always getting himself into these wacky situations, and somehow, only 3 days into the year, he's done it again. Now, if you live under a rock or are alternatively retarded, I guess, if that's the case, then I'll explain it for you. Basically, on the 3rd, the president of the great nation of Venezuela has been kidnapped by U.S. Special Forces. And no matter what your opinion on this situation is, I feel like it is objectively true that this whole thing is hilarious. I mean, I don't really think I know any other country where something like this has occurred. Like, they just kind of show up and they see the guy who's in charge and they just kidnap him. and not only that, but they're also like parading this guy around in New York. To my knowledge, I've seen them do that. They're parading him around in New York, which frankly, if I was kidnapped, the last place I would want to be is New York. Now, as much of a divisive topic as this is, I don't really want to make this a partisan discussion because I like my videos to actually be fun and funny and not, rage-inducing over, I don't know, political whatever, because unlike the majority of people, it seems, I'm not really interested in militant political activism, so I will not be giving my opinions on this issue because, well, it's not super important, I guess. But what I will do is kind of talk about the impact on culture that this already seems like it's having. Trump embracing the spirit of George W. Bush was definitely not on my prediction card for 2026. But the thing is, unfortunately, this isn't going to be the end of it, at least to my knowledge. I have seen the big DJT claim that this is only the beginning of the operation, and he has said that he does plan on moving troops into Venezuela and basically ruling the country for a certain amount of time so we can, I guess in a certain way, enforce our will upon them so they don't go back to being evil and bad or whatever. They think this is going to be another Iraq situation, but it's definitely going to be not the greatest either. Now, just the invasion and intervention itself isn't really what I think is making this a George W. Bush moment, although that's definitely something that Big W would be proud of. Rather, I think what is a W. Bush moment is how expansive this big war plan seems to be from the administration, and I think this is something that really might influence things to come. Again, they have named a multitude of countries that they plan on just invading, I guess, or I don't know, maybe just kidnapping their leadership, I don't know. But again, Venezuela does not seem to be the only op that Donald Trump has on his mind. Just from what I've seen, he also seems to be angry at Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, Iran, and probably a bunch more. And if this does extend into other military operations, then this will certainly be something that will be remembered. Probably not for the best, but it will certainly be remembered. Now, there's also something that I think is important to say, which is that as unpopular as the government in Venezuela is, there are definitely pro-government militias that do exist and that do support them, and they are heavily armed. And if there is some kind of invasion or occupation of the sort, then there definitely would be an insurgency, and that would definitely maybe not be the worst thing for the country, but it would certainly be a pain in the ass. It wouldn't be totally unopposed. There would certainly be people who would oppose our occupation, and that would certainly be not great for the U.S. soldiers who have to actually, be there and physically occupy the country. There are also many militant groups, left-wing militant groups, that operate throughout Latin America, specifically Colombia. There are many militants and former militants that exist in the continent, and they may move into Venezuela as a kind of similar to the jihad in Iraq. So this is definitely not something that we should be looking forward to, intervening in another country's internal matters because we personally don't like them. But it's definitely a funny situation nevertheless, and no matter how worried you might or may not be, it's definitely a wacky situation that people are going to remember for, I don't know, a long time. I guess until Trump does another thing that's funny. I don't really know. But I definitely think this will be remembered since there's already some interesting imagery that exists. So yeah, that's about it. See you in the next one.